Hi, my name is Gina Geronimo. I am the author of Reflections, and this is how I wrote it. I came in contact with Madison and Park through Raphael Gordon. I went to Montclair State University and met Ra through my journey over 17 years ago. And I had the opportunity of just expanding my vision and was motivated by him to publish my book. The name of my book is Reflections, and just finding the courage to transform through forgiveness, just simply transformation. I feel like as I transitioned and evolved throughout my own personal journey, I've always been writing my book. Just having the moments of journaling, which has helped me just pour out certain emotions, as we all have a story. I felt that my book was already written. So putting it together was really the challenging part, right? But I have pieces in my book as far as 2004 to present. So I feel that the transformation also shows within my book. As I was writing this book or putting this book together, I wanted to impact all the single mothers. I wanted to impact mothers who are raising children with disabilities. I wanted to impact myself, as I was going through my own forgiveness journey, encouraging people to simply forgive. This book is dedicated also to my mother, who I forgave and I truly love, and just people all over the world. My writing routine was very interesting in the fact that as a single mother, my time was very limited. I'm just going to work 8 hours a day, dealing with my son's therapies, along with my other child's sports. So my schedule was extremely tight. So I would start writing and unfolding once my babies were sleeping. So there were a lot of nights where I was breaking night just to produce and just to be able to submit, at a timely rate that was expected by the agency. So there was moments of intensity, difficulties, and even discouragement. There were many times where I said, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. There were many times where I was crying as I'm looking over, my kids are sleeping. I'm like, why am I losing sleep? People are probably not even gonna read this. But then on the other end is you have to finish. Everything that you start, you must complete. What is the example that you're teaching your sons? You have an expectation of them, so you must have an expectation for yourself. Consider all joy. Lean into this pain. The worst part, you have nothing to lose. And if you impact one person, you already won. So me completing this book, I felt like I already won. Because who was the primary reader? Myself. So seeing the final product, I already knew that it was worth it. Speaking of challenges and the light at the end of the tunnel, ironically, I remember through my writing journey, I believe at the time in the manuscript, it was like chapter 5 or something like that. And it was just titled Surrender. In the book Reflections, I write an entry, I submit a journal entry, and then I leave space for the reader to articulate or reflect upon their own life. For that particular chapter, I did not have material or a journal entry to fulfill this chapter. Ironically, I went to High Point, Pennsylvania, to celebrate a birthday with family and friends. And all of a sudden, we're in a 4-hour tour trying to do whitewater rafting. This boat now, after the tour, 4 hours later, this boat decides to crash at a high rate velocity into a rock wall. With the speed of that intensity, we all go underwater. At this point, we're not teamworking or rowing together. Everyone is practically fending for themselves. Once I was under this water, I literally said, Gina, relax, because you have a life vest, you're gonna come back up. In the attempt of coming up, something hits the top of my head. I'm like, okay, Gina, just keep trying. Eventually you're gonna breathe. I'm swimming, try again, something hits the top of my head. So Now, and physically, I'm just self-talking, Gina, if you panic under this water, you're gonna drown. You're already physically athletic. Hold your breath for as long as you can. Keep trying. I'm trying to swim as far as I could, so whatever's blocking my head, I get the space to breathe. Again, try again for the third time, something hits the top of my head. At that moment, I literally surrendered. And I said to myself, thank you, God, for the life you've given me. At this point, I'm so grateful. Can you please, as I transition to this new cycle of life, can you please give my strength to my mother so that she can continue to raise my kids? I already had. At that point, I hear a voice that says, open one eye slowly. So I open one eye slowly, and there's a flashlight. Felt like a flashlight under this water. I'm following the flashlight and swimming out. As I finally come up to get air, it was the most mind-blowing experience just to see how devastated my family and friends were. Because in that moment, everyone is looking for me under this water. My sister, she's like, she has to make a decision. Am I going to keep swimming and look for Gina under this water? Or am I going to stay alive so that I can tell her story? It was very profound, the entire experience. And just as I come, now the chaos, I'm calming down, the realization of my existence was so deep that I needed to take a 3-month break from writing and producing and finishing the final production of my book, just because I needed to process what had happened to me. I had to, I kept pinching myself very often just to know, like, Gina, wow, you're really alive. It was very unreal to accept that I was still breathing, And what was the irony that as I'm writing chapter 5, Surrender, that weekend, I had to submit that Sunday. What's the irony that now I had to journal and had a journal entry based on my experience to submit for the chapter? So everything does connect. And overall, what was blocking the top of my head was the boat, the raft that was drowning down. So I'm just blessed to be here to tell my story. Some of the things that really impacted me through these challenges to keep the motion and the momentum going to finish the product was Raphael Gordon. Knowing Raphael Gordon for so many years, there were moments where I would write, send him an email, send him a text, I'm done, I'm not doing this. And because he knows me personally, you have your kids, you have come on, let's do this, your mother, this is your legacy. There were moments of desperation. I must say, like, yeah, but I care about myself. I need to take care of myself. Like, I just went through something traumatic. Gee, you got this. Look how far you've come. Look, you're right now, you're converting from a caterpillar to a butterfly, and there would be moments of, as I'm writing my book, I'm being tested or triggered, as a frustrated single mom, still trying to navigate, her new beginning, along with, my mother, coming back home and adapting to my mom. And I'm like, Mom, I really love you. Like, just now having a new profound sense of perspective. Like, Mom, I appreciate you. I love you so much, because maybe a month ago, I was not going to be here. So that also influenced or fast forward the pace of my forgiveness journey. So everything is always, just working together and just in divine connection of where we are supposed to be, And sometimes being is staying here in the present. Sometimes we have an illusion that we're supposed to be at a certain, pace or velocity. And it's like, no, right now, this is all that matters. So what I want people to get from my book is just the concept of setting themselves free with the topic of freedom as far as forgiveness. Many times we hold certain childhood traumas. We hold the expectation of others. We hold space for people, places, and things that are no longer aligned with us. And I just want to encourage all the readers to give themselves grace. You know, many times we hold on to so many things and negativity, you know, that have been implanted or cultivated within the, you know, within our own individual journey. I encourage every reader to just give yourself grace as you continue to evolve and heal. Forgiveness is for self. So forgive yourself, you know, for allowing others to treat you a certain type of way, for allowing people, places, and things to project or perceive you of how you're supposed to be. Give yourself the forgiveness of, you know, forgiving those that have really played a major part in the way we trust, the way we just have our personal growth developments, and just overall, like, I want people to be free mentally, you know? There's a lot of people that need to forgive, and those people are no longer here, right? So when I say forgiveness is for self, I'm giving the example, how do you forgive your grandmother who's no longer here, right? So forgiveness is for self, and finding those tools, I have that in my book, finding those tools to help you forgive. Since I released my book, I must say people have been supporting me. Thank you to all my supporters. I'll mention a few experiences. One of them is I'm walking to the store with my sons, and this person just says, "Hey, are you Gina G?" And I'm like, "Yes, how do I know you?" They're like, "Did you just release a book? I think I brought your book recently." So that was a profound moment for the person who's supporting me. They were just so mind blown to ironically meet me in person. We were at the same place, same time, and it just worked out that way. Another experience that I had was being contacted like, "Hey, I see that you're going to be here. I'm actually out of town and I'm gonna be here at the same time. I want to receive your book but personally, I want to meet you and I want your book signed directly from you." So that was an experience as well. Another experience is, ironically, God, the universe, or whatever people believe in, will align you with the readers that need to read your book. I've been attracting a lot of divorced single mothers, and it's just amazing how I have the opportunity to not only meet them, but also assist them, but at the same time, just pull out my book and say, "This is for you." You know, as they're asking for advice, or they're asking me, "What do you do?" How, you know, they're seeing my videos or my content, and they're like, "How do you have time to do X, Y, and Z?" And I'm like, "You just do it. And then this is how you do it." And this, you know, so also like motivating people, and especially, you know, moms who doubt, right? I've doubted myself many times, how to get out of their comfort zone and just produce, you know? And sometimes this production of my book, when I'm reading it, it was truly for myself. So the production that you're thinking you're doing for the world, it's truly for you. My experience working with Madison and Park has been, I want to say, interesting, only because personally I know Raphael Gordon, and then seeing him, Mr. Gordon, in the element of the professional behind the scenes of Madison and Park, is two different worlds, right? So there's the business aspect and there's the personal aspect, which sometimes could be tricky, right? Of just blending those two worlds, but it has worked out in my best interest, right? Just because I get to see the raw uncut, but then I also get to experience the, you know, professional and just the business aspect of the agency. Both have been working well. It brought me here to this point. We're still working together and partnering together, and, you know, village. So the words of wisdom or encouragement that I can deliver to the world is to completely live your authentic self. When you're true to yourself, you no longer have to uphold an image. So you knowing yourself, you're able to produce a level of just self-worth, because everything is tied to how you produce, which is yourself. Worth is gonna be the product. So if you're producing at a level of just being authentic, pureness, and just being raw with yourself, the production is gonna be tied to, wow, this piece is so organic, which is tied to the worth of, whatever the product or the outcome may be. And I do believe that we are walking brands. I'm Gina G Motivation, so I am my own brand. You cultivate, and I have to live to that brand. Who can live it best than myself? No one is gonna live as Gina G, right? So just always reminding myself and encouraging others to be you. My name is Gina Geronimo. I am a Madison and Park global author, and that's how I wrote it.